Hi guys, welcome to another crochet tutorial with me, Laura, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do the foundation stitch. We're going to be having a more of an in-depth look into working a single crochet foundation stitch, half double crochet and a double crochet and a treble crochet foundation stitch. So first of all, let's show you how to do the single crochet foundation stitch, which in UK terminology is going to be the double crochet. So we'll start off with our little slip knot. And we always chain 2 at the beginning. So I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And we're not going to yarn over or anything like that. We're just going to put our hook straight into our first chain that we made. I'm going to bring the yarn through there. So you've got 2 loops on your hook. Now whenever we create the foundation stitch, we need to create basically a row of chains as well as our single crochet. So to do that, we just yarn over and do a chain 1. We just pull through the first loop only. So that is effectively creating our row of chains that we would do normally. See there, it just looks like a little chain that you would have done normally, and then we work the stitch. So in this case it's a single crochet, so we just yarn over, pull through both loops, and that completes that stitch. And if you look on the left hand side, you should see your little chain upside down V shape there, and that's what we're going to keep working into. So again, we're not going to yarn over, we're just going to find that V shape we just made here, go under one bit of yarn, then find the other side, go onto there. It's as if you're working into a stitch, a normal stitch. We'll bring the yarn through there. Okay, so it should come through 2 loops there, and you've got 2 loops on your hook again, and we do exactly the same thing again. We create our chain, so we just pull for the first loop only, and then that creates our next upside down V on the left hand side, and then we work our stitch. So in this case is a single crochet. So we yarn over, pull through both loops. Now it can get confusing which bits to work into. It's very easy to work into this bit here, so you need to be careful not to work into what effectively is a horizontal bar. So where your yarn is coming out, those 2 bits of yarn underneath you don't work into, so just make sure you don't work into that by accident. You want to find this proper chain that you made, this upside down V here. So this is our second one we're going to work into here. So we're going to put our hook into there. Okay, bring the yarn through and keep it nice and loose on your hook as well. And do the same thing again. We yarn over and pull for the first loop only to create our next chain, and then we do our stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2 to do a single crochet. And again, there is our next upside down V, our little stitch, chain stitch we work into. So we don't work into this bit here where our yarn is coming out of. Okay, so again, we go into the stitch on the left hand side, bring the yarn through, bring it up, do a little chain 1, little stitch there to create your foundation chain, then do your single crochet. And you just repeat that over and over again. So there we go. So our next one, if you're not sure where to go, it's not going to be this bit here where the yarn is next to. So that's not it. We need to find this upside down V shape underneath. That's our next one we work into. So if you're trying this for the first time, I recommend trying it with a nice chunky yarn so it's easier to see the stitches. And then again, we create our foundation chain, and then we do our stitch, single crochet. Okay, so that's the single crochet foundation stitch. And when you get to the end, what you would do is you would turn your work and you would work into the stitches on the right hand side, because these are your chains now. These are at the bottom of your project, the ones on the left hand side. So you would probably do like a little chain 1, and then you would turn your work and work into these big normal stitches here, these ones. So say we're doing single crochets, we just work into them as normal stitches, and they were the ones on the right hand side of your project. So it would be like that. They are the ones on the right hand side, okay? So now I'm going to show you how to do the half double crochet foundation stitch. Very similar. In UK terminology it's going to be a half treble. So we do our slip knot. And we chain 2. So we always chain 2 at the very beginning. 1 and 2. Some people count the chain 2 as a stitch. I tend not to because it's a little bit fiddlier to work into when you get to the end of the row. But to do the half double crochet foundation stitch, we're going to yarn over as if we're doing a half double crochet. We're going to put our hook into that first chain. It's the same as what we did before, and bring the yarn through and keep it nice and loose. We do the same thing again. We work that little chain 1 at the beginning to get our foundation chain. So we're going to yarn over and pull for the first loop only. Okay, that creates our little upside down V on the left hand side, just like before. And then we do our stitch. So in this case it is a half double crochet. So we're just going to yarn over, pull through all 3 as if doing a normal stitch. And then we do the next one. So we yarn over. So now we've created this upside down V on the left hand side. So it's not where your yarn's coming from, it's not this bit, it's this bit down here. Put our hook into there and bring the yarn through. Keep it nice and loose. And don't forget to do your little chain 1s. We pull for the first loop only. Okay, so it's like in Tunisian crochet where you always do that chain 1 at the end. It's very similar in some ways. And then we do our stitch. So we do a half double crochet by pulling through all 3. Okay, and there's our next foundation stitch to work into. So we yarn over, make sure we're not working into the bit underneath where our yarn's coming from. Find that proper upside down V, put your hook into there, going under 2 bits of yarn only, bring the yarn through, then do your chain 1 to create your next foundation chain, and then do your stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3, and you keep doing that to work the half double crochet foundation stitch. Just keep working into those chains that you create when you do your little chain 1, pull through all 3. So that is the half double crochet foundation stitch. So you've got your foundation chains as if you're doing normal chains, and then you've got a row of half double crochets already made. And same thing again, you would just chain 1 and you would turn and work into the stitches on the right hand side. So if we were doing half double crochets, just work into the stitches as normal. So just going under into the stitch as normal, and they would be the ones on the right hand side. And when I would get to the end, I would just work in the last proper stitch. So you may wish to work into the top of your 2 chain at the beginning there if you wanted to. I tend not to bother, but that is entirely your own preference. So when you're counting how many foundation stitches you need, you can just count the ones you've created, the proper ones, or you could add on that extra chain 2 as an extra stitch. So that's up to you. So let's just show you the double crochet foundation stitch. Hopefully you're getting the gist of this now. So in UK terminology that is a treble. Let's do our slip knot on camera focus, and we do our chain 2. So same as before, chain 2, and then we are going to yarn over as if we're doing a double crochet. Put your hook into the first chain, bring the yarn through. It's the same thing again, we create that first chain by pulling for the first loop only. It's our little chain we're going to work into, and then we work the stitch. So in this case it's a double crochet. So we yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to do a double crochet. And then our next one, so our next stitch you need to work into is here. So you're not going to work into the yarn underneath where your yarn's coming from, that stitch there. You're not going to work into this bit here, because you've got 2 bits now to be wary of. You need to find the upside down V that you created, which is over here. So it should be a vertical bar. These should look more horizontal, and that's what we want to work into. Bring the yarn through, keep it loose, do your chain, little chain 1 by pulling for the first loop only, Then do your double crochets. So you pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay. So our next one we yarn over, so don't work under this bit here where the yarn's coming from, and don't work under the next bit here. You need to find your upside down V on the side. Okay, should be vertical. Work into there, bring the yarn through, do your little chain 1 for your next chain to work into, then do your stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, and you just keep doing that. So our next, our third chain to work into, do your next chain, always remember to do that otherwise it won't work, then do your double crochet. Okay, so that is the double crochet foundation stitch. And to do, say, a treble or a double treble in UK terminology, it's just exactly the same thing. You just work the stitch after you've done your chain 1. So same thing, we do the chain 2 at the beginning. We're doing trebles, so we're going to yarn over twice, put our hook into our first chain and bring the yarn through. So you've got 4 loops this time, and then we do the same thing. We create our foundation chain by doing our little chain 1 first, and then we work our stitch. So in this case it's a treble, so we pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, because any stitch that's a double crochet or bigger, you just pull through 2 until you get to the end. So now this is a lot more horizontal, so it should be a lot easier to see your foundation chain to work into the vertical bit. So we yarn over twice for the next one, and then we're going to go all the way over to here and find that stitch on the left hand side, bring the yarn through. We do our next chain, so a little pull for the first loop only, and then we work our stitch. So we pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2 to do a treble. Okay, and we keep doing that for a treble crochet foundation stitch. So our next V is there, so you're not working under the bit next to the yarn or the next bit or the next bit, so you've got 3 bits to be wary of this time. Got to make sure we work into that V, upside down V on the left hand side. We can get into there, go in. So you want to go under one bit of yarn and make sure you go under that next bit. Bring the yarn through. Again, we create our next foundation chain, then do our stitch. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that is how you do the foundation stitch with various stitches from the single crochet all the way up to the treble. And the same would just apply for bigger stitches. You would just always do the chain 2 at the beginning, and you would always pull through the first loop only and then do your stitch. So that's all you need to remember, is to pull through the first loop only to create your chains, and then you work your stitch. So you can see the next one you would work into. So I hope that has helped you and inspired you to try something new. And like I said, it's really, really good for projects. I love this technique, so it's definitely worth learning if you can. Especially if you make things like hats or from the bottom up, or things like headbands as well, because sometimes when you just chain at the beginning, just normal chains, it can be quite tight, and this takes that away as well, and it also measures better as well. So say you were measuring around your head and you were just doing normal chains, I always find that sometimes it ends up being bigger than I expected, but if you work the foundation chain, you'll have a much clearer idea of how long your piece of work is straight away, because you've already got a first row of stitches. So there we go, but I'll see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, bye.